Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Good evening. You know, I had an entire speech prepared for this wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. My fellow Americans, good evening, everybody. Good evening.
And with that, Mr. President, all yours.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Good evening. You know, I had an entire speech prepared for this wonderful occasion. But now that I'm here, I think I'm going to try something a little different. Tonight I want to speak from the heart. I'm going to speak off the cuff. Good evening. Pause for laughter. Wait a minute. This may not be working as well as I... Let me try that again. Good evening, everybody. I would like to welcome you all to the 10-day anniversary of my first 100 days. I am Barack Obama. Most of you covered me. All of you voted for me. Apologies to the Fox table. Where are they? I have to confess I really did not want to be here tonight, but I knew I had to come. Just one more problem that I've inherited from George W. Bush. But now that I'm here, it's great to be here. It's great to see all of you. Michelle Obama is here, First Lady of the United States. Hasn't she been an outstanding First Lady? She's even begun to bridge the differences that have divided us for so long, because no matter which party you belong to, we can all agree that Michelle has the right to bear arms. Now, Sasha and Malia aren't here tonight because they're grounded. You can't just take Air Force One on a joyride to Manhattan. I don't care whose kids you are. We've been setting some ground rules here. We're starting to get a little carried away. And now, when I think about children, obviously I think about Michelle, and it reminds me that tomorrow is Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers in the audience. I do have to say, though, that this is a tough holiday for Rahm Emanuel because he's not used to saying the word day after mother. That's true. David Axelrod is here. You know, David and I have been together for a long time. I can still remember it. I get a sort of a little bit when I think back to that day that I called Ax so many years ago and said, "You and I can do wonderful things together." And he said to me the same thing that partners all across America are saying to one another right now. Let's go to Iowa and make it official. Michael Steele is in the house tonight. Or as he would say, in the heezy. What's up? Where's Michael? Michael, for the last time, the Republican Party does not qualify for a bailout. Rush Limbaugh does not count as a troubled asset. I'm sorry. Dick Cheney was supposed to be here, but he is very busy working on his memoirs, tentatively titled How to Shoot Friends and Interrogate People. You know, it's been a whirlwind of activity these first 100 days. We've enacted a major economic recovery package. We passed a budget. We forged a new path in Iraq. And no president in history has ever named 3 commerce secretaries this quickly. Which reminds me, if Judd Gregg is here, your business cards are ready now. All right. On top of that, I've also reversed the ban on stem cell research, signed an expansion of the children's health insurance. Just last week, Car and Driver named me Auto Executive of the Year. Something I'm very proud of. We've also begun to change the culture in Washington. We've even made the White House a place where people can learn and can grow. Just recently, Larry Summers asked if he could chair the White House Council on Women and Girls. And I do appreciate that Larry's here tonight because it is 7 hours past his bedtime. Gives like that one. In the last 100 days, we've also grown the Democratic Party by infusing it with new energy and bringing in fresh, young faces like Arlen Specter. Joe Biden rightly deserves a lot of credit for convincing Arlen to make the switch. But Secretary Clinton actually had a lot to do with it too. One day she just pulled him aside and she said, "Arlen, you know what I always say, if you can't beat him, join him." Which brings me to another thing that's changed in this new, warmer, fuzzier White House. And that's my relationship with Hillary. We had been rivals during the campaign, but these days we could not be closer. In fact, the second she got back from Mexico, she pulled me into a hug and gave me a big kiss. Told me I better get down there myself. Which I really appreciated. I mean, it was nice. And of course, we've also begun to change America's image in the world. We talked about this during this campaign, and we're starting to execute. We've renewed alliances with important partners and friends. If you look on the screen there I am with Japanese Prime Minister Taro Aso. There I am with Gordon Brown. But as I said during the campaign, we can't just talk to our friends. As hard as it is, we also have to talk to our enemies. And I've begun to do exactly that. Take a look at the monitor there. Now, me be clear. Just because he handed me a copy of Peter Pan does not mean that I'm going to read it, but it's good diplomatic practice to just accept these gifts. All this change hasn't been easy. Change never is. So I've cut the tension by bringing a new friend to the White House. He's warm, he's cuddly, loyal, enthusiastic. You just have to keep him on a tight leash. Every once in a while he goes charging off in the wrong direction and gets himself into trouble. But enough about Joe Biden. All in all, we're proud of the change we've brought to Washington in these first 100 days, but we've got a lot of work left to do, as all of you know. So I'd like to talk a little bit about what my administration plans to achieve in the next 100 days. During the second 100 days, we will design, build, and open a library dedicated to my first 100 days. It's going to be big, folks. In the next 100 days, I will learn to go off the prompter, and Joe Biden will learn to stay on the prompter. In the next 100 days, our bipartisan outreach will be so successful that even John Boehner will consider becoming a Democrat. After all, we have a lot in common. He is a person of color, although not a color that appears in the natural world. What's up, John? In the next 100 days, I will meet with a leader who rules over millions with an iron fist, who owns the airwaves and uses his power to crush all who would challenge his authority at the ballot box. It's good to see you, Mayor Bloomberg. In the next 100 days, we will house train our dog Bo. Because the last thing Tim Geithner needs is someone else treating him like a fire hydrant. In the next 100 days, I will strongly consider losing my cool. Finally, I believe that my next 100 days will be so successful I will be able to complete them in 72 days. And on the 73rd day, I will rest. I want to end by saying a few words about the men and women in this room whose job it is to inform the public and pursue the truth. And we meet tonight at a moment of extraordinary challenge for this nation and for the world. But it's also a time of real hardship for the field of journalism. And like so many other businesses in this global age, you've seen sweeping changes in technology and communications that lead to a sense of uncertainty and anxiety about what the future will hold. Across the country, there are extraordinary, hard-working journalists who have lost their jobs in recent days, recent weeks, recent months. And I know that each newspaper and media outlet is wrestling with how to respond to these changes, and some are struggling simply to stay open. And it won't be easy. Not every ending will be a happy one. But it's also true that your ultimate success as an industry is essential to the success of our democracy. It's what makes this thing work. Now, Thomas Jefferson once said that if he had the choice between a government without newspapers or newspapers without a government, he would not hesitate to choose the latter. And clearly Thomas Jefferson never had cable news to contend with. But his central point remains. A government without newspapers, a government without a tough and vibrant media of all sorts is not an option for the United States of America. So I may not agree with everything you write or report. I may even complain, or more likely Gibbs will complain, from time to time about how you do your jobs. But I do so with the knowledge that when you are at your best, then you help me be at my best. You help all of us who serve at the pleasure of the American people do our jobs better by holding us accountable, by demanding honesty, by preventing us from taking shortcuts and falling into easy political games that people are so desperately weary of. And that kind of reporting is worth preserving, not just for your sake, but for the public's. We count on you to help us make sense of a complex world and tell the stories of our lives the way they happen. And we look for you for truth, even if it's always an approximation, even if this is a season of renewal and reinvention. That is what government must learn to do. That's what businesses must learn to do. And that's what journalism is in the process of doing. And when I look out at this room and think about the dedicated men and women whose questions I've answered over the last few years, I know that for all the challenges this industry faces, it's not short on talent or creativity or passion or commitment. It's not short of young people who are eager to break news, or the not so young who still manage to ask the tough ones time and time again. These qualities alone will not solve all your problems, but they certainly prove that the problems are worth solving. And that is a good place as any to begin. So I offer you my thanks, I offer you my support, and I look forward to working with you and answering to you and the American people as we seek a more perfect union in the months and years ahead. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Without further ado, I give you the 44th President of the United States, Barack Obama.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you. Please have a seat. Thank you so much, Ed, and to all the other board members, to honored guests, and to the lovely First Lady. Good evening. You know, Ed's right. I work a lot. And so I wasn't sure that I should actually come tonight. Biden talked me into it. He leaned over and he said, "Mr. President, this is no ordinary dinner. This is a big meal. It's been quite a year since I've spoken here last. Lots of ups, lots of downs, except for my approval ratings, which have just gone down. But that's politics. It doesn't bother me. Besides, I happen to know that my approval ratings are still very high in the country of my birth. So and then just the other day, my dear friend, Hillary Clinton, pulled me aside and she gave me a pep talk. She said, despite the numbers, she said, "Don't worry, Barack, you're likable enough." Which made me feel better. Of course, I may not have had the star power that I once had, but in my defense, neither do all of you. People say to me, "Mr. President, you helped revive the banking industry. You've saved GM and Chrysler. What about the news business. And I had to explain, hey, I'm just the president. I'm not a miracle worker here. Though I am glad that the only person whose ratings fell more than mine last year is here tonight. Great to see you, Jay. I'm also glad that I'm speaking first, because we've all seen what happens when somebody takes the time slot after Leno's. By the way, all of the jokes here tonight are brought to you by our friends at Goldman Sachs. So you don't have to worry, they make money whether you laugh or not. We do have a number of notable guests in attendance here tonight. Obviously, I'm most pleased that Michelle accompanied me. She doesn't always go to these things. And there are few things in life that are harder to find and more important to keep than love. Well, love and a birth certificate. The Jonas Brothers are here. They're out there somewhere. Sasha and Malia are huge fans, but boys don't get any ideas. I have two words for you: predator drones. You will never see it coming. You think I'm joking? Speaking of tween heartthrobs, Scott Brown is here. I admire Scott. Rare politician in Washington with nothing to hide. Now, you should be aware that Scott Brown is not the only one with a salacious photo spread floating around. Recently, David Axelrod was offered a centerfold opportunity of his own. Now, I did not know that Krispy Kreme had a catalog, but it's true. I saw Michael Steele backstage when we were taking pictures, a.k.a. Notorious GOP. Michael, who knows what truly plagues America today, taxation without representing. My brother. I did a similar routine last year, but it always works. Odds are that the Salahis are here. There haven't been people that were more unwelcome at a party since Charlie Crist. Unfortunately, John McCain couldn't make it. Recently claimed that he had never identified himself as a maverick. And we all know what happens in Arizona when you don't have ID. Adios, amigos. Look, I feel for John. You know, we were on the road together and obviously had a hard-fought battle, and you learn, certainly at the national level, politics isn't easy. You know, this year I've experienced my share of disappointments. For example, I had my heart set on the Nobel Prize for physics. But, hey, you can't win them all. Speaking of undeserved honors, a few weeks ago, I was able to throw out the first pitch at the Nationals game. And I don't know if you saw it, but I threw it a little high, a little outside. This is how Fox News covered it. President panders to extreme left wing of batter box. On the other hand, MSNBC had a different take. President pitches no-hitter. And then CNN went a different way altogether.
I was just asking Chad, how can you get a volcano in Iceland? Isn't it too when you think of a volcano, you think of like Hawaii and long words like that. You don't think of Iceland. You think it's too cold to have a volcano there.
I guess that's why they're the most trusted name in news. Now look, I have a reputation for giving cable a hard time, so let's pick on Politico for a while. You know, people attack Politico for putting a new focus on trivial issues, political fodder, gossip sheet. That's not fair. Politico's been doing this for centuries now. Just check out these headlines. Our researchers found these. Japan surrenders, where's the bounce? And then there's this one. Lincoln saves Union, but can he save House majority? I don't know if you can see, there's a little portion there. He's lost the Southern white vote. It's astute analysis there. And my favorite, July 3rd, 1776, senior Whig official, talks break down, independence dead. So this is nothing new. But even though the mainstream press gives me a hard time, I hear that I'm still pretty big on Twitter, Facebook, or as Sarah Palin calls it, the socialized media. Of course, that's not the only thing that we've been accused of socializing this year. You might have heard we passed a health care bill, and was that Roger Ailes applauding out there? Some Republicans have suggested that the bill contains a few secret provisions. And that's ridiculous. There aren't a few secret provisions in the health care plan. There are like hundreds. Tonight, in the interest of transparency, I'd like to share a couple. Let's see. This provision is called the Bay State of Denial. It reads, this bill shall cover short-term memory loss related to the passage of Massachusetts health care reform. So good news, Mitt, your condition is covered. This next provision is called the Jersey Shore-Up. It reads, the following individuals shall be excluded from the indoor tanning tax within this bill. Snooki, JWoww, The Situation, and House Minority Leader John Boehner. This provision ought to put a common misconception to rest. It says right here, if you do not like the ruling of your death panel, you can appeal. Now, look, obviously I've learned this year politics can be a tough business, but there are times where you just can't help but laugh. You know what really tickles me? Eric Massa. Apparently, Massa claimed that Rahm came up to him one day in the House locker room, stark naked, started screaming obscenities at him. To which I say, welcome to my world. I feel you. It's a tense moment. You know, even as we enjoy each other's company tonight, we're also mindful of the incredible struggles of our fellow Americans in the Gulf Coast, both those leading the efforts to stem this crisis and those along the coast whose livelihoods are in jeopardy as a result of the spill. Also in our thoughts and prayers tonight are the men and women in uniform who put their lives at risk each and every day for our safety and freedom. So in that spirit, I'd also like to pay a tribute to the journalists who play an extraordinary role in telling their stories. You know, earlier today I gave the commencement address at Michigan, where I spoke to the graduates about what is required to keep our democracy thriving in the 21st century. And one of the points I made is that for all the changes and challenges facing your industry, this country absolutely needs a healthy, vibrant media. Probably needs it more than ever now. Today's technology has made it possible for us to get our news and information from a growing range of sources. We can pick and choose not only our preferred type of media, but also our preferred perspective. And while that exposes us to an unprecedented array of opinions and analysis and points of view, it also makes it that much more important that we're all operating on a common baseline of facts. It makes it that much more important that journalists out there seek only the truth. And I don't have to tell you that. Some of you are seasoned veterans who have been on the political beat for decades. Others here tonight began their careers as bloggers not long ago. But I think it's fair to say that every single reporter in this room believes deeply in the enterprise of journalism. Every one of you, even the most cynical among you, understands and cherishes the function of a free press in the preservation of our system of government and of our way of life. And I want you to know that for all the jokes and the occasional gripes, I cherish that work as well. In fact, tonight I wanted to present all of you with a bipartisan congressional resolution that honors all those wonderful contributions that journalists have made to our country and the world, but unfortunately, I couldn't break the filibuster. Thank you very much, everybody. God bless you. And God bless the United States of America. My fellow Americans, mahalo. It is wonderful to be here at the White House Correspondents Dinner. What a week. As some of you heard, the state of Hawaii released my official long-form birth certificate. Hopefully, this puts all doubts to rest. But just in case there are any lingering questions, tonight I'm prepared to go a step further. Tonight, for the first time, I am releasing my official birth video. Now, I warn you, no one has seen this footage in 50 years, not even me. But let's take a look. Oh well, back to square one. I want to make clear to the Fox News table, that was a joke. That was not my real birth video. That was a children's cartoon. Call Disney if you don't believe me. They have the original long-form version. Anyway, it's good to be back with so many esteemed guests, celebrities, senators, journalists, essential government employees, non-essential government employees. You know who you are. I am very much looking forward to hearing Seth Meyers tonight. He's a young, fresh face who can do no wrong in the eyes of his fans. Seth, enjoy it while it lasts. Yes, I think it is fair to say that when it comes to my presidency, the honeymoon is over. For example, some people now suggest that I'm too professorial, and I'd like to address that head on by assigning all of you some reading that will help you draw your own conclusions. Others say that I'm arrogant, but I found a really great self-help tool for this: my poll numbers. I've even let down my key core constituency, movie stars. Just the other day, Matt Damon. I love Matt Damon. Love the guy. Matt Damon said he was disappointed in my performance. Well, Matt, I just saw the Adjustment Bureau, so right back at you, buddy. Of course, there's someone who I can always count on for support, my wonderful wife, Michelle. We made a terrific team at the Easter egg roll this week. I'd give out bags of candy to the kids, and she'd snatch them right back out of their little hands. Snatched them. And where's the National Public Radio table? You guys are still here. That's good. I couldn't remember where we landed on that. I know you were a little tense when the GOP tried to cut your funding, but personally, I was looking forward to new programming like No things considered. Or, wait, don't fund me. Of course, the deficit is a serious issue. That's why Paul Ryan couldn't be here tonight. His budget has no room for laughter. Michelle Bachmann is here, though, I understand, and she is thinking about running for president, which is weird because I hear she was born in Canada. Yes, Michelle, this is how it starts. Letting you know. Tim Pawlenty. He seems all-American, but if you heard his real middle name, Tim Hosney Pawlenty, what a shame. My buddy, our outstanding ambassador, John Huntsman, is with us. Now, there's something you might not know about John. He didn't learn to speak Chinese to go there. Oh, no. He learned English to come here. And then there's a vicious rumor floating around that I think could really hurt Mitt Romney. I heard he passed universal health care when he was governor of Massachusetts. Someone should get to the bottom of that. And I know just the guy to do it. Donald Trump is here tonight. Now, I know that he's taken some flack lately, but no one is happier, no one is prouder to put this birth certificate matter to rest than the Donald. And that's because he can finally get back to focusing on the issues that matter. Like, did we fake the moon landing? What really happened in Roswell? And where are Biggie and Tupac? All kidding aside, obviously we all know about your credentials and breadth of experience. For example, no, seriously, just recently in an episode of Celebrity Apprentice at the steakhouse, the men's cooking team did not impress the judges from Omaha Steaks. And there was a lot of blame to go around, but you, Mr. Trump, recognized that the real problem was a lack of leadership. And so ultimately you didn't blame Little John or Meatloaf. You fired Gary Busey. And these are the kind of decisions that would keep me up at night. Well handled, sir. Well handled. Say what you will about Mr. Trump. He certainly would bring some change to the White House. Let's see what we've got up there. So, yes, this has been quite a year in politics, but also in the movies. Many people, for instance, were inspired by The King's Speech. Wonderful film. Well, some of you may not know this, but there's now a sequel in the works that touches close to home. And because this is a Hollywood crowd, tonight I can offer a sneak peek So can we show the trailer, please?
The following preview was begrudgingly approved for all audiences by the President of the United States. The film advertised has been rated U, unwatchable. The year is 2011, and opposition rises.
Congressional Republicans could force the federal government to shut down.
And a president must face
Republicans are serious about an amendment that would eliminate funding, this is serious business, for the president's teleprompter.
his greatest challenge. From the people who brought you universal health care and the huge backlash to universal health care comes the incredible true story.
As our economy added another 20, to say that, they say that doing that'll work. No, let's start over.
The president has lost his prompter. Joe Lockhart, has he lost the magic?
Savannah, he's gone from yes we can to no I can't.
I can't get that. I will also visit Chile. I will also visit Chile. Okay, let's try that again.
In his darkest hour,
Mr. President, what are you going to do?
the president turned to a man who never let prepared remarks stand in his way.
Axelrod wanted me to use a teleprompter, but I told him I'm much better when I wing it.
Ooh, baby, I like it raw.
Who broke all the rules.
His mom lived in Long Island for 10 years or so. God rest her soul. And although your mom's still alive. God bless her soul.
And spoke from the heart.
I've never seen so many damn insurance commissioners. One to buy a 30-inch hedge clipper. My Lord, I'm not that old. Actually, I am.
It's the story of friendship and the power of the human spirit.
This is only 2 lines. Okay.
You're making me feel better, bud.
But mostly, it's this for 2 hours.
And someone we appreciate even more, Natalie Portman. This is not on the teleprompter, but she's a heck of a lot better looking than Rahm Emanuel.
This fiscal year, join 2-time Grammy Award winner Barack Obama,
This is the coolest weekly address.
renowned fruit and vegetable enthusiast Michelle Obama,
Hey, look, Sam, there's a carrot.
and Amtrak's Passenger of the Year 3 decades running, Joe Biden,
There goes Biden again.
as a president loses his teleprompter, but wins the future. The president's speech.
My outstanding Vice President Joe Biden is here. Coming to a theater near you. Let me close on a serious note. We are having a good time, but as has been true for the last several years, we have incredible young men and women who are serving in uniform overseas in the most extraordinary of circumstances, and we are reminded of their courage and their valor. We also need to remember our neighbors in Alabama and across the South that have been devastated by terrible storms from last week. Michelle and I were down there yesterday, and we spent a lot of time with some of the folks who've been affected. The devastation is unimaginable and is heartbreaking, and it's going to be a long road back. And so we need to keep those Americans in our thoughts and in our prayers, but we also need to stand with them in the hard months and perhaps years to come. I intend to make sure that the federal government does that, and I've got faith that the journalists in this room will do their part for the people who've been affected by this disaster, and by reporting on their progress and letting the rest of America know when they will need more help. Those are stories that need telling, and that's what all of you do best, whether it's rushing to the site of a devastating storm in Alabama or braving danger to cover a revolution in the Middle East. You know, in the last months, we've seen journalists threatened, arrested, beaten, attacked, and in some cases even killed, simply for doing their best to bring us the story, to give people a voice, and to hold leaders accountable. And through it all, we've seen daring men and women risk their lives for the simple idea that no one should be silenced, and everyone deserves to know the truth. That's what you do. At your best, that's what journalism is. That's the principle that you uphold. It is always important, but it's especially important in times of challenge, like the moment that America and the world is facing now. So I thank you for your service and the contributions that you make. And I want to close by recognizing not only your service, but also to remember those that have been lost as a consequence of the extraordinary reporting that they've done over recent weeks. They help, too, to defend our freedoms and allow democracy to flourish. God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America.
Could someone back there please turn off the president's mic? I think the president's mic is hot. Please turn it off. Thank you. Thank you.
Great. I got to get warmed up. I'm so in love. God, I totally had that. Seriously, guys, what am I doing here? I'm the President of the United States, and I'm opening for Jimmy Kimmel? I have the nuclear codes. Why am I telling knock-knock jokes to Kim Kardashian? Why is she famous anyway? That's it. Next year, we send Biden. No, you're right. That's way too risky. Wow, look at my hair. I really went gray. Do you think anybody would notice if I just went a little darker? Right now, I'm like a 5 on the Just for Men scale. I think I could go to 6 and nobody'd notice. Is the teleprompter working? Are you kidding? What do you expect me to do out there? I literally have no idea what I'm saying tonight. Man, I could really use a cigarette right now. Okay, I'm going. God forbid we keep Chuck Todd and the cast of Glee waiting.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the President of the United States.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. I could not be more thrilled to be here tonight at the White House Correspondents Dinner. This is a great crowd. They're already laughing. It's terrific. Chuck Todd, love you, brother. I'm delighted to see some of the cast members of Glee are here. And Jimmy Kimmel. It's an honor, man. That's so fun. My fellow Americans, we gather during a historic anniversary. Last year at this time, in fact, on this very weekend, we finally delivered justice to one of the world's most notorious individuals. Now this year, we gather in the midst of a heated election season, and Axelrod tells me I should never miss a chance to reintroduce myself to the American people. So tonight, this is how I'd like to begin. My name is Barack Obama. My mother was born in Kansas. My father was born in Kenya, and I was born, of course, in Hawaii. In 2009, I took office in the face of some enormous challenges. Now, some have said I blame too many problems on my predecessor, but let's not forget that's a practice that was initiated by George W. Bush. Since then, Congress and I have certainly had our differences, yet I've tried to be civil, to not take any cheap shots. And that's why I want to especially thank all the members who took a break from their exhausting schedule of not passing any laws to be here tonight. Let's give them a big round of applause. Despite many obstacles, much has changed during my time in office. 4 years ago, I was locked in a brutal primary battle with Hillary Clinton. 4 years later, she won't stop drunk texting me from Cartagena. I was a Washington outsider. 4 years later, I'm at this dinner. 4 years ago, I looked like this. Today, I look like this. And 4 years from now, I will look like this. That's not even funny. Anyway, it's great to be here this evening in the vast, magnificent Hilton Ballroom, or what Mitt Romney would call a little fixer-upper. I mean, look at this party. We got men in tuxes, women in gowns, fine wine, first-class entertainment. I was just relieved to learn this was not a GSA conference. Unbelievable. Not even the mind reader knew what they were thinking. Of course, the White House Correspondents Dinner is known as the prom of Washington, D.C., a term coined by political reporters who clearly never had the chance to go to an actual prom. Our chaperone for the evening is Jimmy Kimmel. Who is perfect for the job since most of tonight's audience is in his key demographic, people who fall asleep during Nightline. Jimmy got his start years ago on The Man Show. In Washington, that's what we call a congressional hearing on contraception. And plenty of journalists are here tonight. I'd be remiss if I didn't congratulate the Huffington Post on their Pulitzer Prize. You deserve it, Ariana. There's no one else out there linking to the kinds of hard-hitting journalism that HuffPo is linking to every single day. Give them a round of applause. and you don't pay them, it's a great business model. Even Sarah Palin's getting back into the game, guest hosting on the Today Show, which reminds me of an old saying. What's the difference between a hockey mom and a pit bull? A pit bull is delicious. A little soy sauce. Now, I know at this point many of you are expecting me to go after my likely opponent, Newt Gingrich. Newt, there's still time, man. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to attack any of the Republican candidates. Take Mitt Romney. He and I actually have a lot in common. We both think of our wives as our better halves, and polls show to a alarmingly insulting extent the American people agree. We also both have degrees from Harvard. I have one. He has two. What a snob. Of course, we've also had our differences. Recently, his campaign criticized me for slow jamming the news with Jimmy Fallon. In fact, I understand Governor Romney was so incensed, he asked his staff if he could get some equal time on the Merv Griffin show. Still, I guess Governor Romney is feeling pretty good about things because he took a few hours off the other day to see The Hunger Games. Some of you have seen it. It's a movie about people who court wealthy sponsors and then brutally savage each other until only one contestant is left standing. I'm sure this was a really great change of pace for him. I have not seen The Hunger Games. Not enough class warfare for me. Of course, I know everybody's predicting a nasty election, and thankfully, we've all agreed that families are off limits. Dogs, however, are apparently fair game. And while both campaigns have had some fun with this, the other day I saw a new ad from one of these outside groups that, frankly, I think crossed the line. I know Governor Romney says he has no control over what his super PACs do, but can we show the ad real quick?
Back in 1983, you took your Irish setter, Seamus, on a 12-hour road trip tied to the roof of your car in a kennel.
He climbed up there regularly, enjoyed himself. My guess is he liked it a lot better in his kennel than he would have liked it inside.
Finally, a candidate with the courage to fight for a dog's freedom to feel the wind in his fur. But what about Barack Obama? Under his failed leadership, man's best friend has been forced into government-controlled automobiles. Just imagine the European-style dog socialism Obama has planned for the next 4 years. More government handouts. A life of government dependency. Indoctrinating our children. A left-wing social agenda. Leading from behind. For 28 years. Our dogs need leadership now.
Who let the dogs out? Who?
this guy. And that's why we need to join Mitt Romney in sending a message this November. I'm an American, and doggone it, I ride outside. Paid for by the Wolfpack.
That's pretty rough, but I can take it, because my stepfather always told me it's a boy-dog world out there. Now, if I do win a second term as president, let me just say something to all my conspiracy-oriented friends on the right who think I'm planning to unleash some secret agenda. You're absolutely right. So allow me to close with a quick preview of the secret agenda you can expect in a second Obama administration. In my first term, I sang Al Green. In my second term, I'm going with Young Jeezy. Michelle said, yeah. I sing that to her sometime. In my first term, we ended the war in Iraq. In my second term, I will win the war on Christmas. In my first term, we repealed the policy known as Don't Ask, Don't Tell. In my second term, we will replace it with a policy known as It's Raining Men. In my first term, we passed health care reform. In my second term, I guess I'll pass it again. I do want to end tonight on a slightly more serious note. Whoever takes the oath of office next January will face some great challenges, but he will also inherit traditions that make us greater than the challenges we face. And one of those traditions is represented here tonight. A free press that isn't afraid to ask questions, to examine, and to criticize. And in service of that mission, all of you make sacrifices. Tonight we remember journalists such as Anthony Shadid and Marie Colvin, who made the ultimate sacrifice because they sought to shine a light on some of the most important stories of our time. So whether you are a blogger or a broadcaster, whether you take on powerful interests here at home or put yourself in harm's way overseas, I have the greatest respect and admiration for what you do. I know sometimes you like to give me a hard time, and I certainly like to return the favor. But I never forget that our country depends on you. You help protect our freedom, our democracy, and our way of life. And just to set the record straight, I really do enjoy attending these dinners. In fact, I had a lot more material prepared, but I have to get the Secret Service home in time for their new curfew. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.